Callie Tupin, and I'm a carrier for X-linked hypohidrotic ectodermal dysplasia. And my brother is fully affected, and I recently just had a baby who is now also fully affected.
My sister wasn't prepared for her son to have XLHED at all. However, when my son showed up with it, I knew I had a 50-50 chance of him having XLHED. So I walked into it with my eyes wide open.
I have an uncle with XLHED, and I met him last year for the first time because I was already pregnant. And I was tested for XLHED last year because we were expecting a boy.
Growing up with my brother as his big sister, it's obviously been hard seeing him go through bullying, seeing him go through struggles with working out, with just in sports, and just going through all the dental work he had to go through when he was young.
My uncle's life wasn't easy for him for a long time. He had his limitations. I think he was sometimes bullied by other people or children, for example, in his childhood, and these are things we want to avoid for Simon.
There are some dangers with XLHED, and if you're not careful in regulating your temperature, you could pass out, you could have heat stroke. Obviously, my mom has been very aware of this, so whenever we're out, we make sure that my brother never reaches his limits and he never has that risk. But it's still there and it's present, so you have to be careful.
I have a dad and a nephew that have XLHED. Growing up, I knew my dad couldn't sweat. I didn't know exactly what it was. I knew that it affected like hair growth and teeth and sweat glands, but I didn't know that it was genetic. I didn't know that I could pass it on to my kids, and I didn't know that it would be a problem for me in my future.
I learned genetics in biology class, and so basically, from what I know, it's like any other genetic trait, like a widow's peak or a cleft chin or any other trait like that. It's passed down, it is connected to the X chromosome. So when two parents give birth to a child, one parent passes a chromosome each. So the mother will pass a chromosome, the father will pass a chromosome. The father only has an X and a Y, the mother would have two X's. So if the father has a genetic trait, then he will automatically pass that to his daughter, and his daughter will automatically be a carrier.
The first time I realized that this was a genetic condition was 6 years ago when my sister had my nephew, Nicholas, when he showed up with XLHED. They got their genetic counseling, and that's when we realized it was something that was genetic and that we were all carriers for XLHED. After seeing XLHED all my life, we felt that we could probably make Andrew's life a little bit more comfortable for him by putting him in this study.
When we became aware that my wife was a carrier for XLHED, we had to make a decision about whether or not we wanted to increase the size of our family still. If the proper precautions are not taken, then there are some complications that could potentially be life-threatening. When I saw Drew for the first time, I immediately fell in love with him. He's my son, and he's a beautiful baby, and I love all my children. But when he was born, there's physical characteristics that go along with XLHED, and so when I saw some of those characteristics, I had a strong suspicion that he probably had XLHED.
My biggest concern when I found out that I was pregnant was, does my son have XLHED? It was something that we didn't know, and we didn't think we would know until he was born, and maybe not even after that. And it's something that worried us a lot.
I talked also to members of the family support group, and I told them my thoughts, and yeah, they were so positive. There was one member, she told me that the children aren't disabled, they are just children with special features, and I really loved this expression.